My brothers and my sisters, welcome to Headlines with Robert Littal. The streets want to know, why did Ime Udoka really get suspended for 1 year by the Boston Celtics? I'm here to separate the facts from the fiction, but also tell you a little bit of speculation, so you'll be a little bit more informed about what's going on. Let's start with the facts. The fact of the matter is this: Ime was smashing a married female team employee that was also happened to be married to a vice president in the organization. This was happening in the summertime. And when the Celtics confronted Ime and the young woman, they said it was a consensual relationship. The Celtics let Ime and the young woman know that it's not really a cool thing, especially considering that she's married to somebody else in the organization. So maybe they should cut it out. And by all accounts, that's what happened. That affair ended. But sometime afterwards, and you might have saw this with the report from Shams on The Athletic, Ime and the woman had some issues. There was some comments, some actions that caused the woman to bring this up to the Celtics brass. At that point, the Celtics did an investigation. Now, at some point, the woman's husband found out as well. And as you can imagine, he was not happy about that. So once they brought in the investigators, this is when we go a little bit away from the facts and more to the speculation. But if you use common sense, it would make sense why some of this speculation might be true. Because why else would you suspend a coach that just went to the NBA Finals for an entire season for playing backgammon with one of his co-workers? The speculation is, in fact, that the investigators found out that Ime sometimes, Ime sounds the same, was having multiple relationships and affairs with married women that worked for the Celtics. If you believe some of the other speculation, a private investigator caught Ime in 4K in bed with one of these young ladies. Also, it has been speculated that one of these women potentially is with child. Potentially with Ime's seat. And then to top that all off, as more of the investigation took place, there seemed to be that there was some consideration that there was some inappropriate things that were going on in the workplace that didn't have anything to do with the relationships and the affairs that he was having. Nia Long, and you know Nia Long, we all know Nia Long, according to TMZ, who she spoke to, had actually just moved to Boston 2 weeks before, and her and Ime were house shopping, even though he knew that he was under investigation for these affairs and had cheated on her as late as July of this year. Our thoughts and prayers go out to Nia Long, because it doesn't seem like she was just cheated with one person, but multiple individuals. So if you watch Matt Barnes and Stephen A. Smith, they rightfully asked the question, If it was just a consensual workplace relationship, A, why did this come out in the public? And B, why would he be suspended a year for this? These things are normally handled behind the scenes. But as you can see, as I've said, there's a lot more to it than just a consensual relationship. Woj was the one that broke the story. The reason why Woj broke the story is it is believed that the vice president had threatened to not just sue the Celtics, but also put all of the juice, all of the evidence out on public domain. So right now we're at a point where the Celtics are trying to keep this all in-house. They don't really want everything to get out. They don't want a lawsuit. Potentially behind the scenes, they're trying to come up with settlements to make sure that this doesn't go any farther than it's already gone. If it indeed gets out all of the information, as you will see how Matt Barnes looked like he saw a ghost when someone told him the real story, it is quite possible and highly likely that Ime will never coach for the Celtics again, and he would have a very hard time finding another head coaching job in the NBA. So that's the truth. Those are the facts, along with some speculation.
Juicy! Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Nerd Chronicles. This is your host, Plow Lame, socially awkward nerd with no game, Christian Paul in the building. Okay, now as we have watched Mr. Robert Little from BSO, shout out to him, and we know this is going to be part 2, the second and final part of The Risk of Playing with Food. And what you've seen earlier up in this clip is basically Mr. Little here, coming from Black Sports Online, discuss about the real situation that's been going on with Ime Udoka, okay, Boston Celtics, as well as a Celtics staffer, Kathleen Nemo Lynch, the wife of the Vice President of Finance, Patrick Lynch. Okay, you see the affair that's actually been going on and all about, and they actually gave you all the gruesome details of it. I will be discussing more of the details on Anchor, but what I would like to discuss here are some very, as I said, some very, very deep advice on what not to do when dealing with a situation like this, so that you'll be able to actually avoid a similar pitfall that Ime Udoka is currently in, right? And let's bring it back to my personal situation, mainly growing up, having a social deficiency, learning how to actually be a bit more social when it comes to my Asperger's syndrome, my autism, dealing with the autism spectrum disorder and all those things. Really had to actually learn on the fly, off rip, coming through adulthood, trying to catch up with like all the social like livelihoods and social networking, like the whole social games that they have been going on, like the whole social world's been evolving left and right. And Christian still learning today, to this very day. As a matter of fact, I literally just came back from a networking event up in New York City earlier tonight, when it has like this tech networking event where they have like a bunch of entrepreneurs and tech guys coming up, basically chatting over some nonsense, trying to get like all these networking links, like, oh, we're gonna link up in this way and that way. And it's great to have like a bunch of acquaintances like around to try and help you elevate to your path and where you want to go. But there could be some very, very deep dark sides to these ordeals as well, right? There's a difference between an acquaintance, a friend, a rival, an enemy, like very distinct differences in between those four, right? Even when you add chain of command, you can link them to an acquaintance as well, but acquaintances, all they do is try to help link you up to like where you need to go in certain colleges, but they don't want to try and dig deep much into their personal life and actually try and get to know like whether or not, depending on what their mood is and all that other stuff. more than likely they aren't really your true friends and not really your true enemies as well, because they're like a neutral party. A friend basically like that's on your level, that's more than willing to actually align with what you do and how you do it, and then you can elevate these things down to a relationship. If that woman or man, whatever it may be, what it may be, depending on if you're like a heterosexual or homosexual, if it may be, they're willing to actually align with you and actually try to work alongside you, help you actually with your goals. And you read that person's love language, they read yours, you link up together. You know, you could have like a true friend for life. You know what I mean? That's when it comes to relationship. A rival or an enemy, in the case, will basically do everything they can and try to stalk everything what you do, look you up, see who you are, and do everything in their power to literally stop you in your tracks and actually derail you. You know what I mean? And you got all the above here. Right. Now, when it comes to social cues, when it comes to school and work, right? Obviously, much of your time during the day is basically going to be either enhanced either with school or with work, right? Now, when it comes to school, right? You know you're going to be meeting up with like a bunch of people, literally like a bunch of strangers. You know what I mean? Spend like about 70 hours of your day learning a bunch of courses, getting all the knowledge that you can get with like random education stuff. Have your recesses, you know, have your little in-betweens and all that stuff when it comes to moving to class, when it comes to secondary school. You meet your friends, you form your cliques, you know what I mean? You'll have some intimate relationships between there. Now you get to go to school for free, or, you know, you pay to actually go to, like, you know, private school, whatever it may be, and you have your little thing, you have your fun, scrambled eggs time, right? You know, dealing with scrambled eggs, really the whole 9 yards. No crazy harm, no crazy foul. The only crazy situation is if, God forbid, you know, the relationships don't even work out and one partner gets salty overnight and they get jealous minded just because like the other one is with like a new partner, how it may be, and they can get jammed up through like the whole criminal system, how it may be. That would like be the extreme case here, right? Same in college, right? Even in community college, you know, community college, 4-year university. Graduate school. Grad school is a little bit slightly different than undergrad, but mainly undergrad, right? You know, deal with the same cliques, you know, popular cliques. You try and meet up and do the whole link ups for a number of years. You know, had a little day night game partying. You know, chat over some nonsense that you do up in the networking event when it comes to professional stuff. When it case of day gaming, all this drinking and the night game stuff. You talk about a bunch of nonsense, you know, you try to flirt with the woman you try to come with, and, you know, whatever cookie moisturizer or eggplant
cookie moisturizer!
You try to get to it. You know what I mean? If I can describe it in this way. Right. Have a little fun, you know, have your scrambled eggs moment. Also, whatever you get, right? Whereas you try to solve in between, if you're not really fully involved with the frats and all that, you want to try and do your thing, you want to try and improve based in the curriculum and all that other stuff, and actually try to build from there. You know what I mean? To actually try to seek help along the way. You know, a lot of folks may reject you. A lot of folks may try to just leave you alone because in their mind you're not in their group, you're not in their little high status situation you have. And people know people within the years that you people know people within the years you deal with. People know which clique you run. People know which frat you're in, which sorority you're in. You know, people know who you hang with, who you don't hang with, who to stay with and who not to stay with, because they've seen some bonds that's actually been built over time within college. That's based on my personal experience. That's based on my personal opinion. Based on like over the years I've been through with schooling, with secondary school and with undergraduate school. You know, this is what I dealt with. Now, when you get to the real world, okay, when you get to the working world, or if you deal with like any form of work, if you work in retail, if you work in McDonald's, you know, if you work at like some random fast food joint or even like a hotel joint, however it may be, it's a whole nother ball game, because now there's money being involved. Now you're under a pay system. Now you have to pay taxes as you took out your paycheck. You deal with a W-2 form, right? You deal with like a W-2 payment. You deal with a chain of command. You deal with co-workers. You deal with the whole 9 yards, and there may be some attractive people that you may be interested in from here and there. But the issue is, you know, money's still on the line, right? Money still on the line, chain of command still on the line. You know what happens if you actually try to go down that hole when it comes to hooking up and all that other stuff, right? Because now, when you see certain companies, they do everything they can to try and avoid sexual relations in the workplace, scrambled eggs relations up in the workplace. You know what I mean? To try and limit all the equations, limit all the controversy, trying to avoid literally getting sued, and to try to avoid favoritism within the co-workers, within the chain of command. So in theory, everyone will still be getting the fair share. But unfortunately, in reality, it's not going to be fully working that way. You can still try to mitigate the damage, but unfortunately, it's sad there will still be mating in between co-workers. There will still be mating in between co-workers within various positions, no matter what, which is a very, very unfortunate reality. And what we will be digging here today are strong suggestions on what not to do when dealing with work relations, and if you deal with work relations, how to go about them very, very smoothly. Let's get it. Do you see? Now, ladies and gentlemen, okay, what we are dealing with here in part 1, when we research about the history of a work spouse, and this is according to the writers that actually discussed all this stuff before, it involves a close compadre or a close friend that you want to try and confide on to the point of having a intimate relationship at times, right? Aim to try and solve your issues and try and calm the stress down during all the crazy pressures of work while working around 40 to 80 hours a week, right? Very hard to deal with when it comes to 168 hours overall in the week, and you deal with almost half your week hours being dealt with, basically the dedicating your craft to what you do, right? Now, this is my opinion. My definition of what a work spouse is. A work spouse is mainly a side piece to smash when literally work is done or when you get stressed out. A work spouse is mainly a person to literally smash while no one notices, or hopefully no one notices, or no one finds out. Boom, 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 boom. Okay? That's what a work spouse is. It could be a work wife or a work husband. Whether he or she is single, in a relationship, married, whatever. If they deem the label of work wife or work husband, odds are more than likely clapping cheeks. Clapping cheeks. They smash it, right? That's what it basically is. Now, it is extremely okay to actually have friends up in your workplace and develop very close bonds. But when it comes to, okay, y'all see the cats doing what they do up in the background. It is extremely risky, okay, to be handling round of applause, okay? We handle a round of applause like this because A, you're dealing with social media, and B, when you add social media to the mix and we add the company work comes out, depending on how you have your little foreplay, It's very, very difficult to keep this stuff low key, and eventually it's gonna be literally spreading down from bottom to the top. Right now, the worst of it all, if the work wife or the work husband is married, it will eventually head out to that spouse or that partner. Dangerous. Very dangerous. Film. Right? So, I know a lot of co-workers, and I know especially a lot of black co-workers and a lot of non-white co-workers are probably going to actually say this situation, depending on like the whole corporate America workplace. It's crazy on its own, right? And they advise you not to have any workplace affairs and not be friends with any of the co-workers that you actually deal with on the job, or even go to the after-work events and avoid them, because you know the money is on the line. And I understand you don't want to get set up, because once the work time starts, virtually everyone is your accomplice. Everyone is not your friend, which is very, very sad. Everyone is out to literally get theirs and to mainly get their money. And you be lucky if you have a close friend that will literally hold you down and protect you when things literally go south and everybody's really worried about their own behind. Okay? So what I advise you is this. Okay? If you're able to get a job where you know there's not a lot of attractive people over there, go over there. You know, you'll be able to actually focus on work like a lot better than when you have like that with work when it comes to like larger companies and you will be dealing with attractive people there, whether it's attractive men or attractive women. Ain't nothing wrong with that, because you know you want to try and do your best to actually keep yourself healthy at all times and actually keep you going, which is extremely important. You need to practice scrambled egg discipline, okay? As you know, Kevin Samuels would say, sexual discipline, right? Or shout out to Minister Jab D discipline, if you know what I mean, right? It is very important. Or P discipline, if you know what I mean, right? To actually try to handle those things and try to make sure you try to keep yourself focused and you try to keep everything civil between the people that you work with, okay? Because you don't really know what's a snake out there. And you don't really know who's going to be really out to get you behind the scenes, which is like a very, very huge concern. And unfortunately, some people will literally throw themselves at you up in the way. And I can't really fully imagine thoroughly when it comes to big companies on how they will really throw themselves at you if you try to get something from you. You don't know, you don't really know what the intent is. You don't really know the backstory of what's really going on, which could be extremely sketchy, right? But it is best to do your best to avoid being a work husband or a work wife, basically being a side piece to a co-worker. It is best to avoid that. Now, what would be the alternatives to handling something like this when it comes to dealing with a 40 to 80 hour work week? When it comes to, you know, getting the urges, you know, trying to seek the urge in other ways. Boom! 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 Let's find out. Alright, so how to counter, you know, being the work spouse. Boom! 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 Alright? How to counter that? You need to be out more. You need to go to other meetup events. If you can, you need to actually get yourself out there. Meet other people alone. Meet other new strangers. Try to talk to them alone. If you are in a city setting, if you're in a suburban setting, it's best to go to some restaurants or gyms to meet new people. Alright? If you're coming from a suburb, take the moment to drive down to the city. Okay? Start speaking to people. Start listening to like where they come from and who they are. Get to know them a bit more. You know, be a bit decent. Ask them what their day is like. You know, what their week is like. You know, exchange them as soon as possible if they want to meet up. If it's with the opposite sex, you know, excuse the date. You know, plan the date out. Be more aggressive of where you want to be. You know what I mean? Mainly men trying to like dictate the location and time to a woman they want to get with. Just simply talk to people. Improve your body posture. Okay? Stay calm. Have the firm handshake. Alright? Be very friendly. Be very respectful. Be of the utmost decorum. Okay? And it will take you a lot far. And you'll be a lot more comfortable literally talking to strangers and be able to sniff out body language, sniff out social cues, sniff out him behind the scenes saying all this stuff, saying, oh, he wants you for the number, oh, he wants you with this, blah, 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 blah. And they do all these strategies and they may talk some stuff behind your back. But at the end of the day, it's all about sniffing out the cues. It's all about sniffing out the mindset, okay? It's all about trying to figure out who that person is so you'll be able to prepare you for the work that come by when it comes to your co-workers and see what their mindset's about. Because, mind you, you think, after getting out of college, after getting out of high school, that everything's going to be real better on all the social world and everyone's going to be like handling business doing all the mature routes. Unfortunately, that's not exactly the case when it comes to work week. There'll still be gossiping going on. There's still going to be tea sipping. Still going to be some fantasy sports discussions, okay, during work. A lot of nonsensing, a lot of BSing, okay. A lot of nonchalant all the time saying, oh, they hate their job, and a lot of complaining about, why am I in this job? I gotta be dealing with a nagging boss all day, and people losing their minds. And in some cases, they have some validity to it, which I can understand, but you gotta handle the legal parameters, like literally during the day in order for you to actually try and live a better life. You need to have a plan, you need to have a strategy to move forward in order for you to help prepare. So you have the social part down, which is extremely important, because if you don't master that social, or imagine everything else when it comes to finance, academics, however it may be, you will not last on this earth. You will have a miserable life, and that I will promise you, right? So you need to master social as much as you can and incorporate it into your 80 to 100 hour work week, right? The 40 hours, it's time 60 hours should be like the normal work day, and then you add the 10, 20 hours to try to improve yourself through the gym, improve yourself socially, and actually get more active too. And more people will be more rating the edging when you actually focus more so on yourself and not give any crud about what anyone thinks, or not give a care about what anyone thinks of you, because you literally so zoned out doing your own thing that you tend to forget about what other people are doing, right? Now, if worst case scenario you find somebody you truly like and they actually do truly care and they're actually deeply compassionate towards you, you know what I mean? And if you do take the work spouse route, here's how the best do it. Now, worst case scenario, right? Both y'all start getting on. Boom! 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 Alright? Y'all start getting it on. Y'all have your little, pop your rocks off, however it may be, the whole 9 yards, right? If you do try and take the work spouse route, right? However it may be, make sure that the two of you are both single, okay? None of y'all can't be in a relationship, none of y'all can't be married, otherwise the whole thing is gonna go literally down the drain via social media. And that's what happened with Ime Udoka, unfortunately, and that's how he unfortunately messed up, okay? You gotta handle these things in like a very smooth, low-key manner, and you have to actually treat your partner in the utmost decorum as if you did up in the office, okay? The same level of professionalism that you do it up in the office with your partner or your work spouse, need to maintain that same level of professionalism and decorum when you guys are away from the office. And make sure you do things low-key. And you can be intimate behind the scenes as long as nobody's watching, as nobody's literally trying to sneak up in front of you and try to record what's going on. Now, if you are a public figure like Ime here, Coach Udoka, that's going to be a little bit harder to do when you go up in a public setting, when you actually see like somebody take up, maybe whether you have whether you guys actually work together, may not be. And add one more note: make sure you do not wear your logo attire where you work at all. Otherwise, there's gonna be some special they can literally have brewing, and it's gonna really ruin the whole ordeal. Hence why it's extremely risky, right? So make sure you try and pick a spot where the two of you guys are literally gonna be alone. And if you do spend some time together, try to keep things low key until you're actually ready to make these things officially exclusive. Okay, let's make note of that. Always make note of that, because there have been cases, and it's minor. There have been cases where you see work spouse eventually like literally get married, be in serious relationships where they have married and eventually have kids. Some still maintain their positions they have up in the job. Other cases where you have like work spouses that have been married and started families together. One of them might have to resign from the company or have to actually move positions in order to try and maintain the integrity of the relationship, in order to protect the relationship. There's some instances where it has happened. And unfortunately, there's other cases where, there's some like work relationships that have it happen that literally came by in their personal lives that unfortunately just fizzled out as well, due to these types of things. And sometimes they don't work out and they try to keep things amicably, which could happen. And in other cases, like some relationships that they have, when you meet a co-partner in work or a compadre co-worker that you've dated and all that stuff, it can be extremely awkward. These things have happened as well. Hence why it's literally extremely risky. Which is why you see like a lot of businesses literally go against it, because in their minds they see favoritism, they see like unfair treatment, all that stuff. They see saltiness, they can see jealousy, you know what I mean? They can see like all types of creations that literally going behind the scenes, and money being threatened, and possible losses really coming on the drain. And to add one more caveat to this whole ordeal is to never, ever, ever get with somebody who is in a current relationship or is currently married ever at work. Ever at work. If you do try to get an affair with somebody having a baby, make sure he or she does not work in the same company that you're in. Otherwise, it's literally hell to pay. Don't ever do it. And that's what caused Ime's downfall, right? And his future could be in jeopardy because of these things. Now, there's a strong chance that he could coach again, but will it be with the Celtics? We don't know. As of now, it's like a 1-year suspension. A lot more things can literally happen, right? You want to try and keep everything up in a new position when you're at your job, right? This is like one of those examples where, playing with food literally goes wrong when it comes to scrambled eggs, if you know what I mean, okay? That's like a huge example, right? All these other personal opinions are going to work, all these other personal endeavors you try to do all this stuff when you're up in there, keep those things to yourself and try to keep things personal towards your close friends. Don't even bring that stuff up at work, you know what I mean, until you're out the whole ordeal, unless you guys know people thoroughly and, you guys trust each other well enough, you respect other people's considerations and privacy, that could definitely work well in a case like this. But when it comes to the work consensual relationships, the work spouse, boom, 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 extremely risky, okay? Extremely risky, alright? So always try to take note of these things. Always be wary of certain folks who want to try and literally throw themselves at you, because you don't know what their mindset is behind the scenes. Always vet the person slowly, precisely, and thoroughly before you thoroughly move forward with the relationship that you choose to, and make sure that person is not in a relationship. She's fully single. She does not have any ring on her finger whatsoever. Okay? Stay clear from that, because it can save you like a world of hurt, and it can still save you an integrity that's still getting that bag. Okay? Please don't make the same mistake that Ime made. Alright? And with that, Chris and Paul is going to close out. I know I had to do a little bit of like a part of redo up there, with the whole ordeal of like filming and all that. But Christian is about to pump some iron, to try to calm some nerves. Okay? Do the whole woosah thing going. Alright? Y'all stay safe out there. Y'all stay protected up. Ain't nothing wrong being social. But know your environments, know those social avenues that you're in, so you'll be able to master any situation that comes by your way. And there's always millions of opportunities that you can try to come by and bag. Alright? You don't have to be literally work all the time. If you want to try to get yourself more out there and seek whatever relationships you want to try and find, get yourself out there outside work. And try to be social with people like other public places so that the levels will literally be up in your favor. And with that, Christian Paul from the Nerd Chronicles is signing out. I will be digging into more detail about Ime Udoka's situation with the affairs with his fiancée, Nia Long, on Anchor. Be on the lookout for weeks to come. Deuces, deuces, deuces.